apprenticeship, which is something that our Economic and Workforce Development Committee has been looking at and we have a lot of interest in it. So Becky Dansereau is here today to tell us all about how it works in Maine. She's an apprenticeship program consultant for the Maine Apprenticeship Program and came to work for our state 2 years ago after doing similar work as an apprentice field representative for the Vermont Apprenticeship Program. She worked there for 7 years, and before that, she was an educator at the elementary level for 18 years. So we want you to share your expertise about apprenticeship. So please come up, Becky, and welcome.
So before I start, I have a trivia question for you folks. Does anybody know where the first Rotary Club started? Really? I have always thought that the first Rotary Club was started in Wallingford, Vermont. There's a placard there, and it states that it was the first international Rotary Club that was established. So I think we have to Google it to find out. But I lived in Wallingford, Vermont for 30 years, so that's why and it's a lovely little Rotary Club. So if you ever have the chance, if you ever may have a road trip to Vermont, it's right on Route 7. In between, right outside of Manchester, Vermont, and great drive up the Route 7 Valley towards Burlington. Anyway, so yes, my name is Becky Dansereau. I am an apprenticeship program consultant for the Maine Apprenticeship Program, which is through the Department of Labor. No, you got it. So, why registered apprenticeship? So, of course, our program, we are the registration agency for the state, or the state approving agency. So, why would an employer do it? The apprenticeship model, it's a great workforce development model for employers to use, especially, if they have an existing training program that they'd like to work on and create, make it better. It's also great for employers that don't have a training program. It holds their program more accountable for training new employees and existing employees, upskilling them. So here are some of the benefits. It helps with improving recruiting. Which I'll talk about in a minute, but if they become a registered sponsor with the state, they could tap into free marketing through our program, which I'll talk about our interactive map in a little while here. A registered program creates a more diverse workforce. There's higher productivity with fewer accidents. There's connection to training funds because we're through the Department of Labor. We can put them in touch, that employer in touch with other programs through the Department of Labor. Also, their apprentices, if their apprentices are in need, let's say they have a learning disability and they need assistance getting through the apprenticeship program, we could put them in touch with vocational rehabilitation. Let's say an apprentice needs help with transportation or costs for transportation, or they need help with childcare. We can put them in touch with those programs. Also, an apprenticeship program, it's customized to meet the employer's needs. So like I said, if they have an existing training program, we can help them create that, add to that training program, make it even better. So it's more structured and it's holding everyone more accountable. And it's a formalized approach that enhances, again, their existing training practice. So why registered apprenticeship for the apprentices? And of course, an apprentice is a paid employee. They're paid from day one. The employer simply registering that employee as an apprentice with the state. So, of course, by getting into an apprenticeship training program, let's say that employee knows nothing. That apprenticeship is creating a career pathway for that employee. So it's a paid job from day one. They start, they're placed under a mentor, and they're learning skills on the job under that mentor, that trade qualified person that's been there for a very long time. And as they learn the skills, we say they are rewarded for skills gained. So as they learn that trade or that occupation, they are on a progressive wage schedule. So they are, getting a pay increase as they go. And there's job security with that. They're under a mentor. It's a safer workplace, and they come away with a nationally recognized credential. They receive an apprenticeship completion certificate through our program, and it's nationally recognized, and it's portable from state to state. And also, while that apprentice is learning skills on the job, they're also taking classes that go hand in hand with what they're learning on the job. So they're getting the theoretical knowledge in addition to learning on the job. And of course, there's lots of fields that have registered apprenticeships nowadays. Anything is apprenticeable, basically. We do have requirements, though, which I'll talk about in a minute. But as you can see up here, apprenticeships can exist in anything. They can exist in transportation. They do exist in the construction agents, construction field across the board. We have plumbing, electrical, HVAC, you name it, in construction. We also have apprenticeships that have been registered in the state in IT and cybersecurity. And of course, we are trying to expand into more green energy areas too. We do have lots of apprenticeships in the solar industry, but we're trying to expand, into other types of green energy too, in addition to solar. And let's see, healthcare, we have tons of apprenticeships in healthcare these days. A medical assistant is a registered apprenticeship in the state. Certified nursing assistant, that's an apprenticeship. We do have apprenticeships in nursing. So we have through the Department of Health and Human Services, we have a registered psychiatric nursing apprenticeship. And Maine General, they have some nursing apprenticeships in for the emergency room. So we're always looking for more sponsors to register their training programs. And as you can see, as I said, an apprenticeship basically can be in any area. They just have to meet the requirements of apprenticeship. I feel like I'm missing a slide here. Let me just go back for a minute. I am missing a slide. So these are our requirements, and they are requirements through the Federal Office of Apprenticeship. Every registered apprenticeship, it needs to be industry-led or business-led. It's a paid job. So as I said, that employee, apprentice is a paid employee. There needs to be structured on-the-job training under a mentor, somebody that's trade qualified. There needs to be supplemental education classes that go hand in hand with what they're learning on the job. And of course, every program has diversity. It's a quality program because they're registering it. They're, really beefing up that training program. And it's a safer program. And generally the product is, the final product is usually much better too. We're finding when an employer registers their program. And of course, there's a credential. As I mentioned, that apprentice, once they complete the program, they get an apprenticeship completion certificate. They also can receive class credit in a lot of cases too, which can, go towards count towards a degree. And so when we work with an employer registering a brand new program, we put together a schedule of work, we call it. So a schedule of work is, basically the curriculum outline for what that apprentice is going to be learning on the job and the classes that they're going to be taking. Everything is laid out on this schedule of work. And everybody gets a copy. The mentor has a copy of this. The supervisors in the program, the apprentices receive a copy. So everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows what's going on, and what that training entails. Instead of just running around, chasing their tail and just trying to guess as to what they're going to be doing. I know myself, being, I've had several jobs over the course of my life. And also being an educator in the field, I know that when there is no training outline, that things do not run smoothly. When an employee is just thrown in and just does not know what is expected of them, it's kind of not a fun situation to be in. So with registered apprenticeship, there is no guessing. That employee, that apprentice knows what they're going to be doing. And the mentor, they don't have to just make it up as they go. They have a training outline that they can follow to use for that brand new apprentice. So just having, the whole thing organized and put on paper and registered, it just makes that training program so much better. And so on this, you can see that it's a personal banker 2. This is a registered apprenticeship that we have in this state. They're going to be learning about banking deposits and cash transactions. And at the bottom of this, the classes are all listed out too as to what they're going to be doing. So the classes for this particular apprenticeship, the classes, a lot of them are taught in-house under the sponsor, under the bank. Part of them are also taught at the technical center. So the Somerset Career and Technical Center takes care of some of these classes with the students. A lot of these apprentices are students in high school. So they're still students, but they're registered as an apprentice and they go to work for the bank right away. And also Somerset Career and Technical Center acts as they are the registered sponsor for this particular apprenticeship. So an employer doesn't have to necessarily be the sponsor all the time. There can be a school could be a sponsor of registered apprenticeship, colleges, an association. One of our big sponsors is the Association of General Contractors, the AGC. They have a lot of apprenticeships, 14 to be exact, that they have registered, and then they have their member employers underneath them where they place those apprentices with. So they take on the brunt of the paperwork, so the employers don't have to do it. And same thing with Somerset Career and Technical Center. They're the sponsor and they have employers underneath them. Did you have a question? Pittsfield. It's in Skowhegan. Skowhegan? Skowhegan, and Chumbro's in Pittsfield though, and they're Chumbro's another one of our big sponsors too, of course. So moving on. So who could be an apprentice? So I answered part of that. Anyone that is, our requirement is anyone that is 6 years old. You have to be at least 16 years old. That's our requirement. If an employer is the sponsor, a lot of them, their requirement is that the individual has to be at least 18 years of age. So it depends on who's registering the program. And an apprentice must have work authorization, and other requirements. They depend on. They are the sponsor's requirements. So a lot of them, the person has to be physically able to do that job. So that may be a requirement. A lot of times they need, the individual needs to have a high school diploma, not always. I do have the Maine Veterans Home that I work closely with. They have a CNA apprenticeship, a certified nursing apprenticeship. Their requirement is that the individual needs to be, have completed 9th grade. So that particular apprenticeship, you don't need a high school diploma. A lot of times they state on for the requirement that in addition, if the individual does not have a high school diploma, that they need to have an equivalent, a GED. A driver's license may be a requirement, and drug testing may also be part of their requirement. So we do have some pre-apprenticeships in this state too. The AGC, the Association of General Contractors, has a lot of pre-apprenticeships going on right now. A pre-apprenticeship leads to an apprenticeship program. So the AGC is working with technical centers and high schools across the state, and they're doing, it's kind of like an internship. So it's they're doing a 4-week program, a construction program with these technical centers and high schools around the state. And they have the kids go through trainings, get certifications like OSHA 30, first aid. They take them to do some field trips to some of their employer construction sites so that the kids can get a taste of the different trades, in construction that are out there. Maybe one site they'll visit an employer that has a construction craft labor apprenticeship program. Another site they'll go visit an employer that basically is doing just the construction, the carpentry part of, on a job. Or they'll go visit another employer that is doing excavating. That's what the employer does. So that those students get a taste for those different occupations. And then when they're done with their pre-apprenticeship program, which is, again, only 4 weeks, they are guaranteed an interview with one of the employers. So it's working out very nicely. My director likes to call pre-apprenticeship the secret sauce. So it's creating a pipeline, leading individuals into an apprenticeship program. And of course, employers, are more than welcome to create their pre-apprenticeship programs. I'm working with Mid-Maine Technical Center to create a pre-apprenticeship for their CNA program. So the high school students there are going through their CNA certification. So they come away with the CNA certification, but then they also lead right into an apprenticeship so they could finish out their on-the-job training hours. And hopefully Maine Veterans Homes will be one of those sponsors, as well as a couple others. And I know in the Portland area, we have Maine Health, and also Northern Light Health, those hospitals. They have pre-apprenticeships in healthcare. So it's kind of a general healthcare pre-apprenticeship. And then the individual completes the pre-apprenticeship healthcare. And then again, they're guaranteed an interview, and then they go right into, if they're accepted, they go right into an MA, a medical assistant apprenticeship program. So again, so what you see up here too, safety is always included with the pre-apprenticeship, and it can be paid or unpaid. It depends on the sponsor. So is there funding available to employers for registering an apprenticeship program? There is. So upon registering a new program, and by the way, the registration process is really not that difficult. I'm one of 6 of us on our team. So the program consultant basically takes care of the registration paperwork if a business wanted to register their training program as an apprenticeship with the state. We help them fill out the sponsor registration. We help them put together their schedule of work. We have them sign the standards of apprenticeship, and we put the packet together. Our director gives it her blessing, and then it goes to our state apprenticeship council for approval. Our state apprenticeship council has 10 days to approve it or deny it. Once it gets approved, then we can register the training program, and then the employer can start, registering existing employees or new employees as apprentices. So once a program is registered, and once they have registered their first apprentice, the sponsor or the employer, or the intermediary sponsor, we send them a check for $1,500, so $1,500. And that incentive money is for that employer, that sponsor, to do with what they'd like. They could put that money into their training program. They could use it to offset the cost of the classes. They could use it to for wages for the employees. It's up to them. For each additional occupation that sponsor registers, upon registering the first apprentice, we send them a check for $1,000. And per apprentice, we provide tuition reimbursement money. So depending on the length of the program is how much they are awarded for tuition reimbursement. If it's a short program, let's say it's 2,000 hours, like a medical assistant program, we send them a one-time tuition reimbursement of $500 per apprentice. If it's a longer program, like let's say it's a 4-year program, like plumbing or electrical, we would send them $1,250 at the 6-month mark for that apprentice. And then once the apprentice completes their training program, we send another $1,250. So that's $2,500 per apprentice to help that employer with the cost of the classes. And then, of course, we have other programs through the Department of Labor that we can help put that employer, that sponsor, in touch with the other programs, or their apprentices in touch with. I had mentioned a couple of these already. Of course, we have the WIOA service providers in this state. WIOA stands for the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. It's another big program out there. That's a federal program. And here in this state, the Workforce Development Corps oversee that program. And it's basically for people that are high needs, if they're eligible for WIOA. I say WIOA, some people say WIOA. Anyway, if the individual qualifies for that program, they can receive funds through that program in addition to being a registered apprentice. And WIOA helps with things like, tools, clothing, gas money, buying books for classes, things like that. And then, of course, we have other programs here in this state, the Maine Workforce Development Compact, Maine Quality Centers, military veterans, GI Bill benefits. If an apprentice is a registered veteran, and if they are eligible to use their GI Bill, they can apply and receive a monthly housing stipend just for being a registered apprentice. In this state, it's approximately $1,200 a month that they can receive for monthly housing. And that's all just for being a registered apprentice. Apprenticeship qualifies as education, as, like going to college, because it's a career pathway. So it's a nice benefit for veterans that are registered apprentices. And we also have the Competitive Skills Scholarship. So those apprentices that are in four-year programs, if they're paying for their own classes, like for electrical, let's say, just by being a registered apprentice, they're automatically eligible for the Competitive Skills Scholarship money that's out there. Last I looked, that's up to $6,000 a year that they can receive if they apply for, we call it CSSP, Competitive Skills Scholarship. So that's a nice benefit too, just by being a registered apprentice. And there's the HOPE program. They help with transportation. And of course, here in this state, we have Go Maine, which helps with transportation too for across the board for just individuals everywhere in this state, hooking them up with rides for people that don't have transportation. So for employers that are thinking about an apprenticeship, if they would just need to contact us, they could email us through our website, which I'll show you here in a minute here. We would need to know what their needs are. What is the occupation or job that they're trying to fill? Are they looking to hire new employees or upskill existing employees? That helps us. How many positions? And so, of course, we speak with new employers all the time. If they have an existing training program, great. If they don't, again, we would help them build it from the ground up and make it a good quality training program. So here's our website, which we're going to go to. Could you just scroll up to the top? Thank you. So here's our website, and you don't have to remember the web address. You could just simply type in Maine Apprenticeship and it will pop up for you. But we have a tab for employers. They can email us through our website if they scroll down below. We have a tab for career seekers. We have a tab for parents and guidance counselors. So you name it, there's a little bit of information there for everybody. Oh, no, you want to back up the truck. And of course, when you hit the home button, it brings you to the Department of Labor. But if you want to know about the other programs, that's another good resource for you. Can you just scroll down? Yeah, there you go. And click on Find an Apprenticeship. And scroll down again. Okay, so a lot of career seekers that are looking for a career pathway, that do not want to go on to college, that want to get into, a good job. A lot of people are using our website as a search engine, and they can email us, right through our website. There's below the map is a, just a blank form to fill out if they want additional information for the career seeker or the employer. But you can see that, this would be a great advertisement for employers too. Every apprenticeship is on there. We provide a link to their website. So this could even help them with recruiting new individuals too. And of course, if they put their application right on their website, that makes the whole process really easy for a person to apply and get hired by them. So just a nice tool for employers to know about. And we also list our pre-apprenticeships on there too. And by the way, pre-apprenticeships aren't just for high school students. They're also for adults too. We have a lot of new Mainers getting into pre-apprenticeships, especially in the Portland area. And I had mentioned Maine Health and Northern Light Health in the Portland area. They have really tapped into pre-apprenticeship with new Mainers, and their particular pre-apprenticeship program, they have a language immersion classes too, so that those individuals can increase their English skills too, in addition to learning some of the, some basics that they'll need for being successful in an apprenticeship program, like first aid, for instance. And maybe, I can't remember, I think one is phlebotomy might be part of that pre-apprenticeship too. So anyway, so at this point in time, and I just want to say that just as a recap, to summarize it all up, so registered apprenticeship is a great way to attract, train, and retain employees. It's a great workforce development model. So why not? And now I will take questions.
This is going to sound like an academic question. I'm a former professor, so I ask questions like this. What percentage of your, roughly, of your apprenticeship programs are for college credit or junior college credit or community college credit?
I can't tell you the exact percentage. So I can't, about 50% of our apprenticeships in the state are in construction, but the other 50% is not. So, so I can't, I would have to I would have to go into our system and try to pull some sort of a spreadsheet in order to decipher that. So I can't give you an honest answer right now. But we do have, individuals that they're taking classes and they are, they come out with an associate's degree.
Right.
We do have some educator apprenticeships out there, which my bad, I forgot to mention. We have the EdTech 2 apprenticeship right now. So we collaborated with the Department of Education, and there are some EdTech 2 apprenticeships here in this town. And so that individual, they, again, a job from day one. They start taking classes. I think the classes are through EMCC. They come out with an associate's degree. And for the EdTech 3 apprenticeship, they go in with an associate's degree, and they come out with a bachelor's. Again, taking college classes.
Is there any distinction from your point of view between the difficulty of finding, and where do you have more difficulty? Finding companies offering apprenticeships or finding people to take apprenticeships? Is there a distinction between where your greater need is?
Well, for my job, basically, I 88% of my time, I'll increase that. 95% of my time is spent in talking with employers. So it's hard to say. I think that more apprenticeships need to be created. If more apprenticeships were created, then there would be more career pathways for individuals. So that's how I'll answer that question. And I probably, go ahead.
I'm just curious what your annual budget is and what the source of the funds are and whether those funds are in danger at the federal level.
Some of our money is through federal grants, yes. I have a very tenacious director, Joan Dolan, that's been doing registered apprenticeship for a very long time now. And she just applied for 2 more grants. But that money basically has to go towards her salaries for her team. She also works with the state legislature to come up with ways to help maintain the tuition reimbursement money that we're doling out for apprentices for the classes to help offset the cost of the classes. So I can't answer completely, but it's state and federally funded through grants. Does that answer your question? If my director was here, she'd be able to answer you more specifically, but you're welcome to email us through our website. Yes, sir.
I understand one of the biggest needs in the state are skilled machinists. Do you have a program that apprenticeship for a machinist?
I have been working very hard, talking to Kennebec Technologies and Augusta to register their lovely machinist training program that they already have. But yes, machinist is a high needs. We need employers to want to register their training programs. I did just register Proc Marine down in Rockland. They don't necessarily do machining. They do kind of a jack of all trades, being on the waterfront. The apprenticeship that they registered is a marine construction technician apprenticeship. So anyway, we need more employers in this area to step forward like Proc Marine did.
Yeah, I might have missed this in your presentation, but a company decides that they're going to set up an apprenticeship. Who designs the course curriculum for that, and what sort of oversight is there to those programs?
So the employer, the sponsor, would need to kind of sit down and really, as a program consultant, I generally send new potential employers lots of information about classes that are out there to try to make it easier to match up classes with what they're doing on the job. Also, we have lots of friends in the community college system across the state. The community college system actually has, some grant money too to help promote apprenticeships in this state. And part of their job is to help us come up with the classes too. Um, so, so we do our best between the college systems, tech centers, online classes, just being really creative with that. But we try to help that potential employer out in case they don't really know where they're going to take the classes. Can come again? Can you? It all depends. I don't know. I don't know how to answer you exactly on that. I mean, what they're looking for is they're looking for that apprentice to get the theoretical knowledge, right? So there may not be a cookie cutter class out there that fits specifically, right? They can teach classes in-house. I know like some of our construction sponsors, they, teach their courses through using the NCCER curriculum. So really, it all depends on what their needs are. Okay. Thanks so much.